This is the voice of Angelos doing a Napoleon Total War 2v2 online commentary battle. My ally is Synoptic, and no, this is not a dual commentary. Now, did someone say bombardment mortars? I know you did, you lucky swines, because that is exactly what you're going to get. But did someone say round shot from the bombardment mortars? Probably not. Unfortunately for Synoptic's opponent, he's loaded his first and second and third and fourth and so on rounds of his mortar with round shot, and doesn't actually realise till very late on in the battle that he's actually firing round shot at Sino. One of the many reasons you shouldn't bring mortars, well, mainly you shouldn't bring mortars because they've got an accuracy of 10, but you shouldn't really bring mortars because even with explosive shot, the likelihood of you actually getting a direct hit with them is quite low compared to their cost, which is quite high. Should have brought howitzers, as you can use targeted fire with them, making them slightly more accurate. Okay, so this is going to be similar to my other battle, which I posted on the same map, and it looks from the neutral perspective like I am against a huge force of cavalry on the left, but it is not so. There's actually only 3 cavalry and 2 horse artillery. Now, my opponent is actually fairly good with his micro here. It's just the tactics that let him down, and I'll go into detail about that during this game. Now, it seems to me that he tried to push up. He's got his force, his army split off into 3 contingents. He's got one on the my far left, trying to get up this hill. See, he's got horse art out in front, and he's got some cav, and he's got some line and a light pushing up behind. Now, my guess is his plan was to take this hill on my left, flank round behind me, and set his horse artillery up, firing canister shot into the back of my army. That's the only thing I can understand why you want to send horse artillery up to this part of the map anyway. Horse artillery is bulletproof, so when I'm giving him volleys like that, they're not dying, which is a lovely glitch, present from Empire, and they never fixed it for Napoleon. Okie dokie. Now, one of the things that he does slightly wrong is he keeps running his cavalry all over the place, never really lets them rest very long. So he tries to force his way through on my left, where I'm holding my blocking force, but he runs into squares, pulls them out, but of course he's got nowhere to run, because I've already started flanking that little body of men he's got up there, and they all get shot as they try to retreat. Now his middle contingent is here, and I've got it pinned down with my middle contingent behind a hill, so he's just firing all of his rounds into a hill, and his left contingent is over here helping his ally, who so very dearly seems to need help at the moment, seeing as he's flinging 2 camel gunners into melee like this. Good God. Like a reenactment of the Battle of Cairo, this. He's charged headlong into a militia unit with 2 camel gunners, and they couldn't even break through Synoptic's meat shield, and they're all dead. Which is rather funny. Okay, so Synoptic's going to push out with some light cav. Good move. He's also going to shoot at them with his own artillery, and he's going to try and disrupt these lights long enough for him to push his line up. And yes, there are his artillery, making sure that those cavalry die no matter if they win or lose that battle. And they seem to have lost, and they're all routing. But the job is done. He's held his opponent's lights long enough for him to push up and give him a few volleys with his line. Now you can see my guys over here with his line. Now this is probably one of the... I don't understand why he'd be so stretched out. There's no need for him to there's no need for him to be on this side of the map and the middle and the far right. Too much for him it'd be too much for anyone to really micro very well. But he does, like I say, he does quite well actually, forming squares and everything, as we'll see later on when I attack with cav. Okay, but the problem is he runs everything everywhere. Now, running around in the desert is not a good idea. The Ottomans are really the only ones who can do it, and really even them, they can't do it too well for too long. Now here I try to send in some throwaway cav to hit his horse art as he's got him limbered up, but I incur the wrath of about 1 million cavalry, and I pull my horses out, which actually wasn't what I had intended, but it works out well for me in the end. I snag them, they run into a square, he then sees my line out of square, thinks he can get them, and no, I form them into a square as well. So chucks all of his riders off, not all of them, but a few, and the remaining cav have to bug out, being shot from all sides by squares, lights, line, artillery, you name it. So this left-hand force of his is quite exposed now, so I'm going to be trying to mop it up as quickly as possible before he can move in his central contingent to back it up. Now he saw me trying to flank his Swiss unit which he had on the hill. Again, I see it, form a square, but his cavalry just are so fat they just can't stop, and they smash into my square, sending my Ottomans hurtling through the air at 100 miles an hour, which is always hilarious to see, but I've seen it so many times it doesn't make me laugh anymore, which is a shame. Anyway, because he sent his cavalry units out into that line regiment in squares, it allows my throwaway cav to do what I wanted them to do in the first place, which was to take his artillery out, which he has set up in a very strange position behind an hill. Now he fired some canister shot, but yeah, it's just the only round he gets off with that. He kills like a couple of cav, and I push, because I'm disrupting his line with my throwaway cav, I'm pushing my line up, and I've completely isolated his force up here now, and they can't retreat, which he should have done, and they can't push forward anymore. Now here he tries to send his central contingent over to back up his exposed troops, and I try to catch him out of formation with a full-on lancer charge, and he does a very good thing, form squares, which is what I've been doing every time he's tried to charge me, so it chucks quite a few of my lancers off, and yeah, gets a few of them killed. But it is actually necessary because it allows me to turn some units round to ensure his reinforcements don't hit me in the back. And now he's too late anyway. His reinforcements were delayed long enough for me to destroy what was left. There's only a Voltigeur and a Fusilier regiment left, and they're not going to be too difficult to take care of. He realised that, he's just running away as well. Now Sino on his side is having a fairly interesting time here. 4 squares against 1 light dragoon. That's interesting, I have to say. I can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to thin his dragoons out so he can fit his way through the gap in the square to take those mortars out in the back. I assume that's what he was trying to do. But yeah, he wasn't allowed to do that because the Ottomans had to lance him in the ass as he was trying to do that. But yeah, good disruption by him. Keeps his guy in squares long enough for his line to push up. Here, my guy is now trying to retreat his central contingent, which is now my next target. His right contingent annihilated, it's now his middle contingent that I'm going to try and isolate. Again, I'm trying to lance him as he tries to run away, and I'm keeping his contingent, which he has over by Synoptic, busy, so while I wipe out his middle contingent. So it's all about isolation and destruction, really. Okay, so this is a bit of a mess over here. Sino's guy seems to have lanced him out of formation, but yeah, you don't want to be keeping lancers in melee like that. You want to do hit and run, keeping them in melee even against even if they have really good stats, they're still going to die. Oh my god, awesome. Okay, yeah, Sino's managed to catch catch 5 Ottoman light infantry with 1 guard, and I know for a fact that's going to kill them all. That 1 British foot guard is going to absolutely annihilate them. So yeah, if you've got 5 units of pansy-ass light infantry, the one thing you don't want to be meleeing, you don't want to be going into melee with, is definitely a unit of foot guards. Now here, I didn't actually mean to charge that square. I just wanted to force him into squares long enough for my line infantry to push up. He had a skirmisher unit regiment there, and it's quicker just to melee skirmishers than to shoot them half the time when you've got line. So I just pushed up line and meleeed them, and I even meleeed them with light infantry just to get the fear by numbers effect going on, and yeah, wipe that out. That leaves him with that left him with 2 line, one of which got killed quite quickly, and this one which I'm going to force into squares again with another feigned. Yeah, that's what I meant to do the other time. A feigned lancer assault, and then my line is going to push up and shoot them while they're in squares. And yeah, that line's completely done for. So it's all about isolation and destruction in this vid. Well, on my side anyway. The rest of my army is now going to run off towards Sino. Like, that's really going to help. Here's that unit of foot guards absolutely butchering those light infantry. All 5 of them. All 5 have fallen to 1 foot guard. That's quite silly. And here you can see why no one brings mortars. Their accuracy of 10% is quite evident there when they've got shells landing 50 foot either side of the howitzer regiment he's trying to aim at. And here's Sino doing his usual thing, trying to kill as many as possible, chasing down the routing Ottomans straight into the French army. I imagine he's going to stop them anytime soon. Not until he's killed everyone that's running away, of course. And there you go. Yeah. And yeah, he's going to pull out just as the French line open fire on him. So that's my guy and Sino's guy now being attacked by Sino, and by the time I get over there it's all going to be done. Sino's going to have killed both of them. And there you go, the slowest melee charge ever recorded on camera. Uphill, a Swiss foot regiment which is exhausted charging a light foot regiment, and which is fresh, and the light foot regiment wins. And here I couldn't believe this until I actually watched this on the replay, that Sino's meat shield was still intact up until this point. His unit of fencibles was still alive. I had no idea how he'd done that. I could have spent the whole battle watching how he managed to keep his fencibles alive, but that would have been rather boring. Anyway, he melees them there, throws them away at the last second, keeping my guy pinned. And my guy's really thrown in the towel here. He's just gone into melee, charging his swish foot in. And I think Sino's going to counter-charge the last second, and he does. Yeah, here we go. I mean, it's just all mopping up now, because those two haven't really got much chance anymore. But here it's quite funny. He's got this Voltigeur regiment which has been firing into the hill, and then I pop up 2 units of lights, and it's a firing squad. Like, 1 volley from that unit, and you're going to get another volley from the other unit, and sacre bleu! Run for your lives, and that is what they do. So, that my guy had the right idea, but not the right tactics there. You want to be focusing either your whole army on one part of the battle, or slightly more, I don't know, stretched out but more focused, if that's the right way of putting it. A good micro there by my opponent. Anyway, here this is to end it all. It's quite funny. We got Napoleon in melee here with a British foot regiment and a Highlander regiment. There he is. Mon Dieu, I am surrounded by Scotsmen. Let us put my horse into reverse. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's getting set up for a melee animation. Oh, and as Napoleon falls into the quicksand, it looks like, as half of his body is submerged into the sand, and a Scotsman's just about to poke his eye out with a pointy bayonet. So there's a number of things you could say there. A Scotsman killing Napoleon. That's quite funny to me. Yeah, and the game ends because of course you can't see Napoleon die in Napoleon Total War. Anyway, that's the end of the battle. Thanks for watching. Until next time.